Hi, this is David Reese, and you're watching the Krash Kourse Metal Show.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Krash Kourse Metal Show. I'm your host, Trevor Crash Knight. Today, we got a very special artist interview here with us. We got none other than the guitar master himself, Paul Lidel from Dirty Looks and Dangerous Toys, and now his new project, Scream Therapy. What's going on, brother?
Hey, not too much. Thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thank you for coming on the show. We always appreciate on this channel here the 80s, early 90s type, sleaze. I guess you would say hair metal, I don't, and just like the hard rock stuff. Very, very cool. We appreciate good guitar playing, great solos, and just the whole 9 yards there. So you're more than welcome to be here on this channel, my man.
Thanks.
So first and foremost, if you don't mind just giving a little bit of background on like basically who is Paul for fans that are unaware.
Boy, I have been playing since I was a little kid. I've been doing gigs since I was real young. I started off as being a drummer, and then I switched over to guitar in my probably early teens. For a little bit, I was playing guitar in some bands and drums in others. And then then I switched over to just mainly guitar so I could write songs. And so I've been writing songs for a long time, and singing for a long time. And when I was in my early 20s, I got a really big break and was able to join a band called Dirty Looks, and which was a big step up from my sort of just local club days in Rochester, New York, where I'm from. Mm-hmm. And so joining them, I found myself touring up and down the East Coast. I mean, it was in my Chevette, and we were making $5 a day, but I couldn't have been happier. And after a while of that, then that band happened to get signed to Atlantic Records. And then our touring got much wider and much more extensive. So I spent the next 7 years on the road with Dirty Looks. Right. And while I was on the road with Dirty Looks, I met the guys from my favorite band, which is called Dangerous Toys.
Right.
So, got to go to see them in concert and ended up meeting the guys and becoming friends. And then at one point, they needed a guitar player. Well, we'll make a long story short. Dirty Looks disbanded. Mm-hmm. And Dangerous Toys invited me to move to Texas to join Dangerous Toys. And Dangerous Toys was not only my favorite band, but they were also had been a big deal. They had an album that was soon to be gold. Mm-hmm. And they had toured stadiums, and so they were number one on this thing called MTV back when it was a thing called MTV. So that was a thrill, getting to move to Texas, where I've now been for 30 years, and I've played now in Dangerous Toys for 30 years. And for the first part of that, we toured pretty extensively as well. So for about 10 years or so solid, I really didn't have very much of like a home base. like when I would leave for a tour, just pull up roots, and then when I'm on the road, just like people would say, well, where do you live? And the answer is right here.
Yeah.
And then I would find an apartment or something in between the tours. So that was the case from probably 87 to 97 or so. And then in 97, of course, the grunge thing was pretty heavy. And so that took its toll on a band like Dangerous Toys.
Right.
So Jason and I, from Dangerous Toys, the singer, we started a band called Broken Teeth.
Very good as well. Very good band.
And so Broken Teeth toured a good amount and released albums, and then I had to leave that band, though I didn't want to, but my circumstances were such that I had to leave that band, which they were all like my best friends too, so it was rough. And so I started a new band called Adrenaline Factor at that point. Adrenaline Factor put out an album, and that sort of ran its course. And then a few years later, was fronting a band called 99 Crimes.
Okay.
And I had fronted a few different bands before that, and did like countless gigs as a front man in cover bands. So singing all different styles of music.
Right.
And playing a lot that way. And so that was excellent training for your voice, singing like 3 sets a night, doing all the Zeppelin and AC/DC and all that kind of hard rock stuff.
Yeah. So is that kind of where you found like your vocal style, and that you could kind of like front a band then? Is that kind of like where you really defined and honed that in?
Yeah. I was fronting both cover bands and original bands, because I've always been writing songs.
Right.
And I enjoy singing the songs that I write. And a lot of times the songs sort of determine the vocal style.
Yes. Yep.
In the case of Adrenaline Factor, I was writing all these songs, and I was singing them, and my voice didn't fit the band, so I got a front guy.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like the way the songs sound in your head, you want to get them out that way,
Yep.
And so that's how that was. But for 99 Crimes, that band, I fronted, and that went on for several years. We have an album and some other songs out, and then that band then disintegrated, and but I'm still writing songs. So I got some new guys together and had a new batch of songs, and so me and the drummer Frank made demos for a whole bunch of songs. Right. And so we had the album all demoed out, and then his name is Frank Kriege, by the way, and then after that brought on bass player Joe Giordino. Okay. Fantastic bass player, and then Lee Young as a second guitar player, and which was a little bit of a switch for me, because in a lot of the bands that I've been playing with recently, other than Dangerous Toys and Dirty Looks, were all one guitar. I was the only guitar player.
Right. Okay.
But for this, I heard lots of things where it really required it had 2 parts, and I wanted to be able to recreate the songs live the way they sound on the album. So brought on the second guitar player, and that is what is now Scream Therapy, and the band is just killer.
Yes, it is. Like I said, I listened to the album this whole past week, since we came in contact, and I have to say, very strong album. Because I always like to say anything over, if an album kind of has like over 12 songs, you're really stretching the attention span of fans or just listeners in general. But this kept my attention the whole way through. Like, and each song kind of does have like its own personality to it, which obviously helps the attention to keep people's attention as well. But I think for me though, I would have to say "Thick of Things" as of now would be my favorite song. But I love the like chorus to it. It's more a little bit more of a party song, I guess, if you will, like more of a compared to like say Alibi or something like that, which Alibi
It's
has a great.
as the other ones, but did you get a vibe for what it's about at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's certainly not party type lyrics, I would say. But
Well, it's just about. Well, if you want me to tell you,
yeah, go ahead.
So, and probably a lot of people can relate to this, but have you ever had like a whole bunch of drama swirling around in your life that you had nothing to do with?
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, it was actually Frank that remarked to me. He said, "Man, I never met anybody that's got so much drama swirling around them and they had nothing to do with it." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." And so yeah, so the thick of things, just that song wrote itself.
Yeah. Good. Well, I was good. That's kind of brings me to the next question is with Screen Therapy, did it kind of just happen naturally, organically, as far as writing the album and bringing the band members together?
Yeah, the songs kind of like that, and they all kind of wrote themselves, and pretty fast actually. I don't know. I feel like it surpassed my expectations as far as what I was first going for.
Yeah. So, and like, I think what kind of surprised me is just how good of a lead vocalist you are here, and, of course, and like I said, like even on like you get different kind of styles, like with Alibi, and then even like Ghost of Yesterday. I dig the vocal deliveries throughout the whole album because it's not all the same either. So I think, and that to have some variance inside of an album really helps, in my opinion, anyway.
Mhm.
It certainly helps, branch to new fans and also to your old school fans, and also just like I said, to the attention span of everyone as well. It just brings a breath of fresh air to everything each time you listen to the album as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, brother. So yeah, are you doing any type of like any small tour, or just are you just gonna be doing kind of like low regional shows with to support this album, or what's kind of the plan there?
We have we have grand aspirations in the works, and are in the process of getting shows together and putting the feelers out and everything. So yeah, right now it's all very brand new.
Right.
So yeah, so we hope to play a whole bunch, and so
Good.
the guys are all ready to go. So
Good. Are you going to be making your way up towards the East Coast here, like Pennsylvania and such?
that is the plan. Yeah.
All right, sweet. I will certainly be on the lookout then, because that is where I'm located, southern Pennsylvania, anyway. So I will certainly be on the. What's up?
Where?
York, to be
Okay.
specific, like about like 45 minutes north of Baltimore.
Yeah, I've played Swizzles a million times.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I can't say I've ever been to Swizzles. I sadly missed that boat, but yeah, I hear all kinds of great stories.
That might have been a while ago.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like a Hall of Fame type place, like that's the golden, place to be in this part of town. So, but yeah, if you don't mind, Paul, do you mind us going back a little bit into the time machine here and talk a little bit about your
Whatever you want,
all
whatever
right,
you want.
man. All right, man. So we could start off here with Dirty Looks, obviously. And so you said you got together and and did, Cool from the Wire, and then your 19 no Turn of the Screw, and then obviously 1992. These are the only ones I have physically. So you obviously did more during that span original run with Dirty Looks. But can you kind of tell me how that was for you? Like, what was kind of like your guys' reception? Because like we now, like people my age and even a little bit younger, when I introduce them to Dirty Looks, the first thing they say is basically a dirtier, heavier Bon Scott sounding band, AC/DC. Is that kind of the reception that was it that reception that you guys got back in the 80s as well during your original run?
Well, I personally, when I joined the band, I told everybody, man, I just joined this killer new band. They sound just like Accept.
Oh, okay. All right. I like that comparison as well.
So that's what it sounded like to me. And this was before Cool from the Wire was recorded.
Right. Yep.
And then we, of course, the first video for that Cool from the Wire album was "Oh Ruby," which is very much AC/DC inspired. And then there's other songs would not be so I want to say mistaken for, but like "Oh Ruby,"
that's certainly the one that everyone points to, but like you said, like it's not the way you rock or Can't Take My Eyes Off You. Like that's a little different. Like that's not what you would expect, I would say, after hearing "Oh Ruby,"
or Cool from the Wire.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's you got the chugging, the Judas Priest chugging kind of thing, like Accept, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's sort of Accept with elements of AC/DC.
Okay.
And that's my own perception. And it depends who you talk to and what order they heard the songs in,
That's true too. Yeah.
Somebody just listened to the album, then the first song they heard was Cool from the Wire. And then the perceptions, you didn't get to "A Ruby" till later. And then that perception might not be quite that much.
Yeah, because even my own personal experience of myself, when I discovered you guys, I initially heard "Nobody Rides for Free," the song, the single, and that was my introduction to you guys. And I liked it, so I bought the album. And so and then I think I went to 5 Easy Pieces. Then I backtracked to your,
Nobody Rides for Free. I'd say that one sounds kind of like AC/DC too.
Okay, all right. So yeah, so certainly, but yeah, it's a strong original run catalog. And I kind of like to ask this, like, with pretty much every artist that comes on here, like, especially during that time, which one of your peers, because obviously like everybody wants their band to be the biggest band, the most popular and stuff. I get that. But of your peers, which band do you think kind of got the short end of the stick or should have been a little bit bigger, or one that you just loved?
Kicks.
Okay.
Kicks should have been as big as Motley Crue.
Yeah. That's a good choice.
Kicks, boy, we played with Kicks before Dirty Looks opened for Kicks, even before we were signed.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had not been played outside of Rochester a whole lot before then, and so I was under the false impression that all the bands outside of Rochester were that freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Because that was something else, so yeah, I feel like, Kicks, they did a lot, but I think a lot of people would agree that they should have been, at the very top of the heap.
Yeah.
in the Motley Crues and the, you know, the giant A bands.
Right. Yeah, I agree. They had a string of albums. They were early too. That's another thing. Like they were early in making a name for themselves compared to one of the pioneers. And you know, they just never really, I guess you would say, got out of the East Coast, like as far as like publicity and stuff until, you know, the power ballad, Don't Close Your Eyes and stuff like that. But like, man, Midnight Dynamite, that's a solid album. Really good stuff. But that's a good choice. That's a good choice.
The band was phenomenal, and the live show was just really unparalleled, I thought.
I agree. And even up until, I guess, until their last show, they still always put on great shows.
Oh, every time. Yeah, I've seen them a lot of times.
Yes, amazing amount of energy. And even when Ronnie Youngkins comes around here, he plays shows up here. I just seen him like last month. He puts on great shows, like with his own band, Blues Vultures. And it's just really just great band all the way around, great members, and you know, just talented. It's just a shame, like you said.
Really nice people.
So now, okay, we're getting towards the end here of 1992, and Dirty Looks does end up splitting ways, and then some of you guys end up going and doing Rumble Dog, and then others go, like yourself, go to Dangerous Toys. Can you kind of explain like that little like transition there?
We recorded 5 Easy Pieces, and it was for a subsidiary of Sony.
Right.
And we had been touring around the country, you know, circling around the country again and again and again. And without any new product, we would play in, you know, smaller and smaller places, and you know, and so we had recorded 5 Easy Pieces, but the label wasn't releasing it.
Okay. What was it, because of the grunge starting to seep in?
I don't know, but yeah, I just know that they weren't releasing it.
Okay.
And so I think during, probably it was that period where you know, Rumble Dog, I don't know that was actually a band. That was just a vehicle to release some more of these songs that we couldn't release as Dirty Looks.
Okay. All right. That makes sense then.
I don't know that Rumble Dog ever performed as Rumble Dog.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure. I mean, I believe I've probably played on some of the tracks. Or been then 5 Easy Pieces got released, and we had a video, new video for the song 5 Easy Pieces, and a tour. And so we got the original drummer Gene Barnett to do that tour. So it was the last tour was you know, 3 of the 4 of us, and that was a great tour. And then at the end of it, I got a letter from Henrik, and he said, you know, you need to call it a day. And so Dangerous Toys guys heard about that, and they said, oh, let's get them to Texas.
So yeah, so you end up, so Dangerous Toys is coming off of Hellacious Acres, which is a phenomenal album in and of itself, and you guys end up doing Pissed, which a lot of people, I think, I'm not 100% sure on the original reception of it, but I know it has a cult following now. A lot of people that I talk to really enjoy and put that album up with the first 2 from Dangerous Toys.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. I think it's got some great songs on it.
Yeah, especially for what, 1994, I believe it was. Yeah, 1994. It's really good. Like one of the, at least a top 5, 10 album for me in 1994, because obviously, as you know, 1994 is a very we're not getting much in the way of hard rock and heavy metal at that time.
Right. Things had already started to transition.
Mhm.
In 1992, that was when we first started to hear about Nirvana and Alice in Chains and things like that.
Mhm.
And Dirty Looks was on Atlantic Records, and we were in pre-production to go do a new album, and had the studio booked. We were going to go to the same studio that Skid Row recorded their first record,
Mhm.
and it was all set to go. And then at one point, Hendrik said, "I think there's something wrong." He said, "I think there's something going on. We didn't get our check because we were kind of on salary from Atlantic Records and living in California at the time,
Mhm.
in LA, and we're all ready to go do that record, and then that's when the whole bottom dropped out, and then we moved back to Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and then started touring, and then got picked up by the subsidiary of Sony, and got a new manager at that point, who was his name is David Krebs.
Okay.
And David Krebs was responsible for the careers of like Aerosmith,
Mhm.
and Ted Nugent, and
Yes. Some big players.
yeah. So that Lieber Krebs, that was the management, that was the big management, and but we had already been managed by Stephen Stewart, who also managed AC/DC at the time.
Okay.
So that's how the Five Easy Pieces album came to be. So then we went back to LA and recorded that, and we got to record it with the same producer that did Cool from the Wire, Max Norman.
Okay.
Which is always a thrill to work with. And of course, Max recorded like first two Ozzy albums with Randy Rhoads.
Correct. Yep.
And lots of other things. And for me, that was just an absolute thrill to work with him.
I'm sure. And then, so after Pissed, a year later, you guys and Dangerous Toys end up doing, artists formerly known as Dangerous Toys. And I always get a chuckle when I look at this cover. I think it's a play off Prince, obviously, and but I always get a chuckle. It's funny, but can you kind of talk to us a little bit about that album? Because I feel like that album is, you go where Pissed went, but way more to the extreme, if I may say. Kind of, and it sounds like 95, if that makes sense.
The rules were we were not we could do anything would go, but we weren't allowed to do anything that sounded like anything we had done before.
Okay.
Which creatively is really, really fun and open.
Yes.
Wrote a bunch of songs for that record, and of course the environment at that time. I mean, now you're in thick, heavy grunge era, and for a band like Dangerous Toys, actually a band like Dangerous Toys at that point couldn't win.
Right. Yeah.
Which is a really all the bands that were successful in the late 80s and real early 90s all of a sudden found themselves to be in a position where nothing they do, just because of the name,
exactly,
nothing they do will be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Which is sort of a difficult situation to be in. Very. So yeah. To the point where we considered changing the name of the band.
Okay.
Like that was discussed, because it's like, well, we might as well call it something else, because nothing that we do is going to, is
be accepted.
It's going to be accepted, because, the old fans don't care about that kind of music anymore. And the new fans would associate us with the old thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in rock, all those bands were between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
All of them. And it was a weird time. So the joke was made in the studio, oh man, when people hear this, they're going to go, they won't believe it's Dangerous Toys. And somebody said, yeah, the artist formerly known as Dangerous Toys. as a joke, and then of course the Prince thing went like that. But it was a bold the cover was a bold statement that this is not the Dangerous Toys you're used to hearing.
Yeah, it's certainly not. But there is some memorable tracks on here. I do enjoy it for what it is, obviously, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to get, because like that's an album that just doesn't get talked about, or much information on. And I just wanted to kind of ask you, if there was like any nuggets to that, or something that you really enjoyed about that album in particular.
Oh, I thought the whole thing was really good. Actually, all of us were pretty pleased with that. The tour for that was really cool. I've seen some videos for the tour from that, and it's the band was just heavier.
Right.
The whole vibe was really heavy. But unfortunately, that album was released on a label called Antone's Records. And while we were out on the road, Antone's Records folded.
Okay.
So we got the call. It's like, you got to come home. And that's so that album, that album may have been accepted had we been able to be out there for years,
Mm-hmm.
trying it hardcore and making it such that people would go, oh, okay, this is what they do now,
Right. Yeah.
and accepting it for what it was or had become.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
But that wasn't the case, so we went home, and so no tour, no label, no promotion, done.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, consequently, not very many people know about that album even. And
right.
if it's on, they'll be like, wait, what's the name of this band?
Yeah.
What's the name?
Yeah.
So
it's I like it though for what it is, and like you said, not many people know about it, and I mean, and it is what it is though. But I do enjoy it from time to time. But so Paul, can we do a couple rapid fire questions here, just based on Paul, basically? And so can you kind of tell us what musician or what guitar player really inspires you today, but also gave you the inspiration to pick up an instrument to begin with when you were young?
well, I mean, early on, I started playing guitar, and then just started learning, like figuring out Black Sabbath songs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when I was still a drummer.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I was in like sort of a prog rock phase as far as drums, doing all the Rush and Genesis and Yes and
yep,
Kansas and things like that. And then for guitar, it became more of the Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and things like that, because this is just stuff I could figure out on the guitar, being primarily self-taught. So
wow, that's awesome too. Yeah.
Well, I got taught a lot by the different guitar players that I played in bands with as a drummer.
Okay.
So I'd be like, how do you do that? How do you do that? And, one night I went to see Randy Rhoads play.
Oh, okay.
Live. And that was like a fork in the road, you know.
Sure.
After that, I went from playing guitar for like, you know, a few hours a day to like just all day. It's him and Eddie Van Halen have still inspire me, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Day. So yeah, those two guys, hearing Van Halen for the first time was extremely eye-opening and extremely inspiring as far as being a guitar player.
Yeah, I can believe it. I can believe that. And so I guess what does 2024 what is success, I guess, to put it in this term? What does success look like for Scream Therapy and Paul Lidel in 2024?
Well, for Scream Therapy, we hope to play a bunch of shows. Hope to be able to do some traveling and be able to spread the word of the band around and take that, you know, as far as it wants to go. It's already kind of surpassed some of my expectations in certain things. I mean, we got news today that there's a Baltimore radio station called 97 Underground.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of them.
And they're in their charts. We got news today that we are at number 2.
Awesome. Very
with
good.
With Metallica being number 3 and Judas Priest being number 4.
That's awesome. That is no better company than that in this day and age.
I know. So yeah, so in that respect, I mean, it's already going well. We had a new single that came out 2 days ago called Run.
Yep.
So now we have 3 singles out on Spotify. One is called Scream Therapy, and another one that's called Rabbit Hole. And Scream Therapy and Rabbit Hole both have videos. The Scream Therapy is like a performance type of video, and then the Rabbit Hole video is this super trippy lyric video. Yeah. And those are on YouTube. And then we shot a video for the new single that just came out a couple of days ago called Run. And so we shot that last weekend, and that'll be out in just a few days. Awesome. So although the album came out on October 20th on CD, it'll be released for the world on streaming on December 1st.
Okay. All right.
On December 1st, everybody that has, you know, Apple Music or Spotify or Deezer or anything like that, they can listen to the album. So
very good. Very good. It's certainly worth the wait if you guys can't pick up a physical copy, because I'm a physical copy kind of guy, as you can see. Like, I don't really play around. 99% of everything I listen to is physical. So, but if you guys can't get physical,
so that's just really cool. That says, you know, that gives you integrity in my book, you know.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. I mean, it is like a niche, I guess. You know, it's like ever since I was young, since like I guess I was 11 or 12, I literally got tired of what I was hearing on the radio, the same 10 songs over and over. And I'm like, this sucks. You know, like I want to hear what else. There's plenty of other bands. But I was also raised pretty well ever since, you know, I was born. My parents played Cinderella, Poison, Britney Fox. Like, so I knew that there was more out there than just what the radio, you know, gave me. So,
sure.
You know, so that's kind of like a little bit of my story of why I collect all this stuff. And I just like physical things, man. I don't know. I feel more a part of it, if you will, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, that totally makes sense.
So, Paul, I got one last question for you, and I will let you go. And so this is kind of a very broad question, but so many answers and so many different answers. What does music mean to you?
It's an outlet. It's a place to go, and can't really imagine life without it. Like, you know, and it's a means of expression, and it's also like a place to escape to.
Yes. Yep.
And it's sort of a drug. It can make you feel different ways. You know, it can make you feel like if you're in a bad mood, it can get you in a good mood and things like that. So
of course,
in that way, it's extremely therapeutic. And so for me, yeah, singing it and writing it, and you know, even just going to a concert and rocking out and screaming my head off, that is my therapy. And that's really why that brought about the name of the band, Scream Therapy. So
yeah. Hey, that makes sense, man. And I agree with a lot of that. It's a perfect, you know, I have so many different playlists of the mood that I am in, like, and it's crazy, like how you nailed it perfectly there with that. Like, whichever mood you're in, maybe I'll go to that subgenre of metal today since I'm in this kind of mood, or it's the weekend, let's party, let's put on, you know, glam and sleaze metal, you know, that kind of thing. So
sure.
yeah, I 100% agree with you. Please tell the viewers and subscribers where they can find you.
Yeah, we are all over social media, but our website is screamtherapyband.com, screamtherapyband.com. And from there you can find all the links to, you know, on the Facebook and the Instagram and all that. So
all right. Good deal. I will also put the links to that, to all your social medias in the description below. So guys, check that out as well. Paul, I want to thank you, my man, for coming on and giving us.
This is really fun.
Yeah, man. Thanks for giving us a wealth of information now to go along with when I listen to these albums too. So, and you know, and bring them that much closer, you know, in my collection here. So that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. So let us know in the comments if you have any questions for Paul. Maybe he'll come back on when he comes out with, you know, a sophomore album here for Scream Therapy. So, guys, thank you for watching. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, party with us. And until next time, stay out of that collateral damage, and we will see you guys later.
Yeah, I wrote that. It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. And then in parentheses it says to the break of dawn.